Have you ever wondered why some people seem to remain calm and composed no matter how turbulent life becomes? Meanwhile, many of us often lose control, letting impulsive words wound the people we care about, letting fleeting emotions sabotage relationships, letting finances slip through our fingers, and allowing our minds to spiral into doubt and negativity. If you've ever felt like a small boat adrift in a stormy ocean, swept away by the current of circumstances, it's time to pause and ask yourself, how can I take the helm of my own life? According to Stoic philosophy, peace doesn't come from avoiding the waves, but from mastering the art of self-control over your words, emotions, finances, and, above all, your mind. What I'm about to share with you isn't distant theory or vague advice. It's a collection of timeless principles, tested and proven by those who've faced life's hardships and emerged stronger, living with purpose and resilience. Don't skip a single part, because within these words, you may find the keys to mastering your life. This could be the moment you stop being a victim of circumstances and start becoming the architect of your destiny. Are you ready? Let's begin this journey together. Number 1. Choose your words and communicate with intent. Words are like a never-ending stream. Each word you utter holds the power to build or destroy. Reflect for a moment. Have you ever felt a wave of relief from someone's encouraging words or been deeply hurt by a thoughtless remark? In Stoicism, words are not merely tools of communication, they are instruments that shape your reality. The way you choose and wield them not only reflects your inner self, but also determines how the world responds to you. As Epictetus wisely said, first learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. This advice underscores the importance of speaking with awareness, not impulsive emotions. Imagine words as water. A clear stream can nourish a field, bringing life, yet the same water, if unchecked, can become a flood that devastates everything in its path. Words are no different. A simple encouragement like, "I believe in you," can profoundly change someone's life, while a careless criticism might strip away their confidence. Sadly, we often fail to grasp the impact of our words until it's too late. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Your reality and your very essence are painted by the thoughts and words you cultivate. The weight of unrestrained words is heavy. In the whirlwind of daily life, it's easy to be swept up in fleeting emotions. A heated outburst can inflict lasting emotional scars, and even an offhand comment might shatter someone's self-esteem. But the harm isn't limited to others. Negative self-talk ensnares you too. When you repeatedly tell yourself, "I'm not good enough," or "I can't do this," you're constructing a psychological prison brick by brick. This cycle of negativity fuels self-doubt and closes the door to opportunity. A simple story highlights the profound power of words. A man accidentally dropped a large bill on the street. He thought to himself, "Whoever picks this up will probably waste it." Conversely, the person who found it thought, "Perhaps this is a chance to help someone in need." Through mere thoughts or unspoken words, two individuals experienced entirely different emotions and actions. Remember, even words you consider harmless can ripple outward with unforeseen consequences. However, words do not merely possess the power to destroy, they also hold an extraordinary capacity to heal and build. Imagine yourself as an artisan crafting bridges that connect hearts to hearts, people to people, using nothing but the words you choose. Every sincere utterance, whether it's a small compliment or a simple acknowledgement, serves as a brick laid firmly in the foundation of relationships. When you tell someone you appreciate them or express pride in their accomplishments, you not only uplift their spirit, but also strengthen the trust and bond between you. Positive words carry an immense ripple effect. They are like seeds sown into the soil, growing over time to bear the sweet fruits of empathy, understanding, and love. Nelson Mandela stands as a powerful testament to the healing strength of words. He endured nearly 3 decades in prison, bearing the weight of injustice and the bitterness of apartheid. Yet, upon his release, he chose not to let anger or hatred shape his speech. Instead, Mandela wielded words of forgiveness and reconciliation to rebuild a nation fractured by division. In his iconic speeches, he often reminded South Africans, "Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies." With gentle yet compelling words, he persuaded an entire nation that forgiveness and unity were the only paths to peace. Mandela's words went beyond soothing the wounds of the past. They ignited hope in millions, inspiring them to believe in a brighter future. His legacy proves that thoughtful, meaningful words can bring about miraculous change, not just in the life of an individual, but in the destiny of an entire nation. So how can we master our words in a world so full of distractions, where emotions often overshadow reason? Start by pausing before you speak. A simple question: is this necessary? Will it help or worsen the situation? Acts as a brake, stopping you from saying something you'll regret. Take a deep breath, let emotions settle, and then speak from a place of truth and goodwill. As Seneca once said, "It is a great thing to know the season for speech and the season for silence." Sometimes, silence is the wisest response. It not only averts unnecessary conflict, but also allows you to reflect more deeply. Beyond controlling your words with others, practice speaking positively to yourself. Begin each day with affirmations like, "Today, I'll do better than yesterday," or "I have what it takes to overcome this challenge." These seemingly simple phrases wield immense power in reshaping your mindset. When positivity becomes a habit, it not only transforms your attitude, but also radiates to those around you. Spread positive energy through your words, recognizing that they are not fleeting sounds, but seeds planted in others' souls. Instead of complaining, shift your perspective toward the brighter side of any situation. Facing a tough task at work, tell your colleagues, "This is challenging, but I believe we can overcome it together." Such words not only encourage, but also foster teamwork. With loved ones, share genuine appreciation, like, "I'm so proud of you and everything you've accomplished." Small, heartfelt compliments can make a world of difference, warming hearts and igniting motivation. Positive words create a ripple effect, fostering understanding, encouragement, and compassion within your community. Controlling your words is no easy feat. It demands patience and self-awareness. But you can practice through small, deliberate actions each day. Challenge yourself with a complaint-free day, focusing solely on constructive words. When anger arises, pause and ask yourself, "Is this worth disrupting the peace around me?" By mastering your words, you also master your emotions and actions. Finally, reflect on your reality. Are you building or destroying with your words? Are you sowing seeds of opportunity and connection, or creating unnecessary fractures? Remember, words are not just tools of communication, but the foundation of who you are. Like a quiet stream that carves mountains over time, every word you speak shapes your life and the lives of those around you. Start today. Practice a complaint-free day. Speak only words that uplift and build. Look for the good in others and in yourself. If you make a mistake, admit it sincerely and use your words to mend what's broken. Each time you succeed, you're not just controlling your words, you're mastering your mind, emotions, and life. Change doesn't come from promises, it comes from action. Begin by mastering your words, the source of peace, success, and happiness. Are you ready to start? Because one positive word today could transform your entire life. So, what will you say to spark that change? I'd be honored to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't hesitate. This is a space for us to grow and learn together. Number 2, master your emotions to stay composed. Have you ever wondered, why can others calmly handle the same situation while you easily lose control? Emotions, like a raging river, can either carry us to the shores of peace or pull us into dangerous whirlpools. Without learning to manage our emotions, we risk becoming a drifting boat, surrendering to the uncertain currents. But if you master the helm, you can navigate the flow to build a life of freedom and harmony. Emotions are not merely psychological reactions, they are the lens through which you view the world. Imagine wearing grey-tinted glasses on a bright, sunny day. Everything around you seems bleak and dismal. That's how negative moods distort reality. Epictetus once said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them." It is your perception of a problem, not the problem itself, that determines your emotions. Therefore, mastering your emotions is the key to freeing your mind from unnecessary turmoil. When negative emotions take the lead, the consequences go far beyond your mood. They ripple through every aspect of your life. A bad day that begins with minor frustration can easily escalate into impulsive actions. You lash out at a colleague over a small mistake, snap at your family despite their innocence, and these moments deepen the gaps in your relationships. Remember, actions driven by emotions often cause lasting harm, far greater than the original trigger. Marcus Aurelius emphasized, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. By allowing external circumstances to manipulate your emotions, you relinquish your greatest power, the control of your inner self. Negative emotions don't just harm relationships, they cloud your vision and cause you to miss valuable opportunities. In anger or frustration, you struggle to see the bigger picture, where great possibilities await. An entrepreneur fails not because they lack talent, but because they succumb to fear of failure. As Winston Churchill wisely observed, a pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity. An optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. Your mood dictates whether you perceive challenges as obstacles or opportunities. Have you ever watched a seasoned professional handle the pressure of a media frenzy? No question is too challenging, no tone too sharp or provocative to unsettle them. They tackle every situation with remarkable confidence, humor, and poise. Even when met with harsh words, they remain composed, avoiding emotional reactions that could escalate the situation. This skill comes not only from experience, but also from an understanding that impulsive reactions can quickly worsen the scenario. The media, like a silent predator, waits for any misstep or outburst. Yet, with firm emotional control, these experts turn pressure into opportunity, steering discussions their way. The lesson is clear. Whether in a press room or everyday life, staying calm and in control of your emotions always provides the greatest advantage. When facing challenges, imagine yourself as a composed spokesperson, responding to every question or criticism with a steady heart and clear mind. A striking example is President Barack Obama during a 2013 speech at the USA National Defense Academy. When activist Medea Benjamin repeatedly interrupted him, demanding immediate action to close Guantanamo Bay, President Obama remained unshaken. Instead of allowing frustration to dominate, he responded calmly but firmly, "Now, ma'am, let me finish. Let me finish, ma'am. Part of free speech is you being able to speak, but also you listening and me being able to speak." This composure not only demonstrated self-mastery, but also illustrated how emotional control is essential to maintaining calm in tense moments. Obama didn't simply react. He understood that an angry or uncontrolled response could quickly become damaging headlines. He showed that emotional control is not just a leadership skill, but a tool for resolving conflict with finesse. This story reminds us that in any stressful situation, calmness is the foundation for confidence and credibility. So when you face life's challenges, take inspiration from such examples. Pause, take a deep breath, and remember that you always have a choice in how you react. Your response determines not only the outcome of the situation, but also how others perceive you. Like those poised professionals under media scrutiny, or President Obama in the spotlight, you too can shrug off challenges and move forward with unshakable determination. And in doing so, you'll confidently say to yourself, "Next." However, mastering emotions is not easy. It requires practice and practical methods. The first step is emotional awareness. When your mind feels unsteady, pause and ask yourself, "How am I feeling? Is this worth my concern?" Identifying your emotions is like turning on the light in a dark room. Only with illumination can you clearly see and bring order to the chaos. Another effective way to manage emotions is to cultivate gratitude. Each day, spend a few moments writing down 3 things you are thankful for, whether it's a warm cup of tea in the morning or a stranger's smile on the street. Gratitude acts like light shining into the dark corners of your soul, helping you see beauty in even the smallest things. Seneca once said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." Gratitude teaches you to appreciate the present and reduce unfounded worries. Finding healthy outlets for emotions is another crucial step. Don't let tension build like a pressure cooker. Take a walk in nature, listen to your favorite music, or simply spend quiet time reflecting. These activities allow you to release emotions healthily instead of letting them explode uncontrollably. As Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Remember, you always have the power to choose your response to everything around you. Lastly, view your surroundings as a mirror reflecting your emotions. Emotions, like a smoldering flame, burn brighter when fueled by negativity. Complaints, doubts, and gloomy energy from others can easily pull you into a cycle of exhaustion and discouragement. But when surrounded by optimistic, inspiring, and supportive people, you'll draw strength from them. A positive community is not just a refuge, but a lighthouse guiding you to maintain calm and strive for good. After all, emotions do not exist in isolation. They resonate and spread among the people we interact with daily. Emotional control is not about suppressing or denying what you feel. It is a journey of understanding and harmonizing with yourself, a candid dialogue with the emotions buried deep within your soul. When you uncover the roots of anger, frustration, or sadness, you hold the key to transforming them. Anger can become the fire of determination, lighting your path forward. Frustration is a lesson that helps you grow from setbacks. And sadness, when properly understood, nurtures depth and empathy. Mastering emotions not only leads to inner peace, but also makes life more harmonious and meaningful, where each day brings you closer to the person you aspire to become. So, are you ready to embark on the journey of mastering your emotions and staying calm? Remember, you cannot change the storms of life, but you can always learn to steer your own ship. On this journey, every moment of emotional control brings you closer to inner freedom. Start today. When you master your emotions, your mind becomes clearer, providing the foundation for wiser decisions in every aspect of life. One area that demands careful consideration and control is financial management, a tool that not only sustains life but also shapes the future. Like emotions, money must be controlled and directed to create real value. Stay tuned for the next lesson on how to manage your finances wisely, so every dollar serves not only your immediate needs, but also plants seeds for a sustainable and fulfilling future. Number 3. Manage money wisely and plan your finances. Take a moment to pause and ask yourself, what does money truly mean to you? Is it a source of security, a means to achieve your desires, or merely a burden? Through the lens of Stoicism, money is not just a tool, it is a test of our self-control, wisdom, and perception. Like a river, money can either nourish the fields or sweep everything away if left unchecked. This is why managing money is not just a life skill, but also an exercise in intellect and spirit. Seneca once said, "Wealth is the slave of a wise man and the master of a fool." This short yet profound statement reveals a deep truth about our relationship with money. For the wise, money is merely a tool, subject to the guidance of intellect and discipline. But for the fool, it becomes a harsh master, leading them down paths of confusion and constant anxiety. Imagine holding the reins of a wild horse. When you maintain a firm grip, the horse will take you to your desired destination, serving your purpose. But if you let go, it will run wild, dragging you into unknown and dangerous paths. Money works the same way. If we fail to take control, it dictates our direction, leading us into reckless spending, debt, and endless stress. A lack of financial control not only depletes your wallet, but also robs you of something even more valuable: freedom. Debt is like an invisible chain that traps your mind in worry and helplessness. Every unconsidered expense is a step back from achieving stability and peace of mind. As Seneca warned, even a small lapse in judgment can allow money to take control of your life, forcing you to work relentlessly to pay for your own mistakes. On the flip side, financial management brings freedom. A person who knows exactly where their money is going is someone firmly in control. They don't just live, they master their life, much like an artist carefully sculpting every detail of their masterpiece. Financial planning is not something distant or complex. It is a blend of discipline and awareness. By starting with simple steps like tracking income and expenses, you'll realize how much you've been wasting. Perhaps you're spending on unnecessary things to fill an emotional void or to impress others, things that do not truly add value. In reality, when you hold cash in your hand, the pain of spending feels more real compared to the effortless swipe of a credit card. Studies show that we tend to spend more when using credit cards because the sense of loss becomes blurred. This is not just about different payment methods. It's a deeper lesson in how we approach daily choices. The Stoics advise, consider everything you do in terms of loss and gain. Asking yourself, is this worth the money I'm spending, is a great way to practice critical thinking and curb wasteful spending. An effective financial plan is not an end goal, but a journey towards freedom and stability. This journey is built upon three solid pillars: budgeting, saving, and investing. Each pillar is not just a part of financial planning, but a reflection of our commitment and ability to manage our most valuable resources: time, money, and opportunities. Budgeting is the foundation of any financial plan, much like a roadmap guiding you towards your goals. Without a budget, your cash flow can easily spiral into chaos, like water flowing aimlessly without channels to direct it. To manage your budget effectively, take inspiration from the famous investor and philanthropist John D. Rockefeller, who meticulously recorded every expense even after becoming one of the wealthiest individuals in the world. Rockefeller kept a personal ledger where he detailed all financial figures, updating them daily with precision down to the last decimal. This practice provided him with an objective measure to assess his financial standing rather than relying on subjective reports from others. He judged his actions by numbers, nothing but numbers. Start by tracking your income and expenses carefully. Use modern tools such as financial management apps or spreadsheets to log every transaction. Follow the 50-30-20 rule proposed by Elizabeth Warren, a financial expert and US Senator. Allocate 50% of your income to essentials, 30% to personal wants, and 20% to savings. This rule not only helps you control spending, but also ensures you don't sacrifice your future for immediate gratification. Saving acts as your safeguard against life's uncertainties. Like a cornerstone of a building, savings provide a stable foundation that helps you weather financial storms. Warren Buffett, one of the world's greatest investors, emphasizes the importance of saving. Do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. He encourages prioritizing savings above all, rather than merely setting aside leftovers. Start with an emergency fund, an amount sufficient to cover 3 to 6 months of living expenses. This fund will serve as your safety net during unexpected events such as job loss, accidents, or illness. Beyond just money, saving shapes your lifestyle. David Bach, author of The Automatic Millionaire, recommends automating savings, setting up automatic transfers to savings accounts as soon as you receive your paycheck. This way, saving becomes effortless, turning into a natural habit. Moreover, remember the timeless investment principle: never put all your eggs in one basket. Diversification is not just a common strategy, it is a shield against unexpected market risks. Nobel Prize-winning economist Harry Markowitz emphasized the importance of this principle in his modern portfolio theory. Proper asset allocation across stocks, bonds, real estate, and gold not only optimizes returns, but also serves as an effective risk mitigation mechanism. Owning a diversified portfolio allows investors to navigate market fluctuations without jeopardizing long-term financial goals. Beyond knowledge, discipline is the key to successful investing. Benjamin Graham, the father of value investing, warned in his classic book, The Intelligent Investor, "The investor's chief problem, and even his worst enemy, is likely to be himself." Impulsive decisions driven by greed and fear can erode investment gains. Thus, staying committed to a plan and sticking to investment strategies even during market volatility is crucial for long-term success. Budgeting, saving, and investing are not separate elements, but interconnected components that create a harmonious financial system. Budgeting helps you understand your cash flow, which forms the basis for saving. Savings provides the resources for investing, and investing optimizes those resources to achieve bigger goals. If one pillar weakens, the entire financial plan falls apart. Treat money with the same respect you give to your time, with awareness, strategy, and deep consideration. Every financial decision is not just a transaction, but a profound exchange. You are trading your time, effort, and future for a certain value. Before making a purchase, ask yourself, as the Stoics advised, am I receiving something worth my time and effort in return? If the answer is no, have the courage to walk away. For wise spending is the foundation of financial freedom. Taking control of your finances not only steers you clear of debt, but also paves the way to genuine freedom and happiness. Every dollar you spend, every plan you make, lays the bricks for inner peace and a stable life. Ask yourself, what will you do to take charge of your finances and ensure that every dollar reflects wisdom, value, and purpose? If you resonate with this perspective, don't hesitate to hit like to support and motivate me. Your engagement not only encourages, but also helps spread this message to a wider audience. If you have any thoughts or questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I look forward to hearing from you and exploring these ideas together. Now, let's dive into today's final lesson. Number 4. Train your mind for focus and positivity. Your soul, like a blank canvas, is painted by the colors of the thoughts you choose. These thoughts not only shape your emotions, but also serve as the foundation of every action and decision. A positive thought can be the guiding light that leads you through the darkest times. Conversely, even a small negative thought can pull you into a spiral of doubt and helplessness. If you do not take control of your mind, your life will become a series of passive reactions, where you are merely drifting along instead of steering your own course. Consider the power of a single negative thought. Like a tiny spark in a dry forest, it can rapidly spread and consume everything in its path. When you tell yourself, "I am not good enough," that thought does not just stay there. It leads you to avoid challenges, reject opportunities, and ultimately miss out on valuable experiences. From there, similar thoughts continue to grow, pulling you further away from your true potential. Instead of living a life filled with excitement and purpose, you may find yourself trapped in a cycle of stagnation and regret. But here's what I want you to know. You are not powerless. You have the ability to change the course of your thoughts, transforming your mind from a drifting vessel into a powerful ship that navigates through any storm. Start by carefully choosing what you allow your mind to absorb. Just as no one would willingly drink polluted water, you must learn to stay away from negative influences. Think about what you consume daily: the pessimistic news, the stories of failure on social media, or the conversations that add no value to your life. These are the murky streams polluting your mental river. Instead, fill your mind with inspiration and optimism. Read books that help you see your potential. Listen to stories of those who have overcome adversity, and most importantly, surround yourself with people who have a positive mindset. Viktor Frankl, who endured the horrors of concentration camps, found strength in positive thinking even in the darkest days. In Man's Search for Meaning, he wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." Frankl couldn't control his circumstances, but he chose to control his thoughts and outlook. This mindset not only helped him survive, but turned his life into a powerful testament to the strength of the human spirit. When negative thoughts arise, do not let them take over. Challenge them. If you think, "I can't do this," Pause and ask yourself, why do I believe that? Is there any real evidence? Questioning your own doubts will help you realize that the limitations you impose on yourself are often baseless. Instead of saying, I can't, reframe it as, I can't yet, but I will find a way. This is the first step in transforming negative thinking into constructive growth. Take the story of Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball legends of all time. As a young athlete, he was cut from his high school basketball team, a crushing failure that made him doubt himself. Before reaching the pinnacle of success, Jordan experienced numerous setbacks, just like everyone else. However, what set him apart was his ability to turn failure into motivation to push harder. He once said, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times, I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed. His growth mindset enabled him to overcome failures and become a symbol of perseverance and triumph. Another powerful tool to master your mind is practicing positive visualization. Take a few moments each day to envision a better future. Imagine yourself achieving your goals, feeling the joy and pride of your success. For example, if you are learning public speaking, picture yourself confidently delivering a speech and receiving resounding applause. These positive images not only inspire you, but also propel you to take the necessary actions to turn them into reality. In today's fast-paced world, inner peace often feels like a luxury. However, you can reclaim it through mindfulness. Simply sitting quietly for a few minutes each day, focusing on your breath, or listening to the sounds around you can bring clarity and calmness. Practicing mindfulness not only soothes your mind, but also helps you live fully in each moment, rather than being swept away by life's relentless demands. Remember, your thoughts, words, and actions not only shape your reality, but also define who you are. Your mind is the compass, your words are the ship, and your actions are the sails. If your compass is not pointing in the right direction, no matter how strong the sails are, your ship will drift aimlessly. This is why training your mind to stay focused and optimistic is the cornerstone of moving forward. Finally, let me leave you with this thought. You have the power to choose how you think, and that choice is your greatest strength. Start today by nurturing your mental river. Eliminate negative thoughts as you would remove weeds from a garden. Plant seeds of positivity by reading, learning, and surrounding yourself with inspiring individuals. And don't forget to water them with patience and gratitude. Step out into the world with a mind trained to focus and remain hopeful. You don't have to be a Stoic to do this, but you do need determination and belief in your inner strength. Life is a long journey, and your mind is the guide. Are you ready to take control of your journey? We've just explored 4 essential pillars to mastering life: your words, emotions, finances, and mind. Each pillar serves as a key to unlocking the doors of freedom and inner peace. When you control your words, you convey meaning and build genuine connections. When you master your emotions, you remain calm in the face of life's storms. By managing your finances wisely, you free yourself from the weight of material burdens. And by training your mind, you plant seeds of focus and optimism, turning every day into a meaningful journey. Life may bring its challenges, but with these principles as your guide, you won't just overcome them, you'll shine brighter than ever. If this video has inspired you or offered a fresh perspective, don't forget to hit the like button to help spread its message far and wide. Share your thoughts in the comments below and send this video to those you care about most. Most importantly, make sure to subscribe, because we have so much more incredible content on its way to you. Let today's small actions lay the foundation for a more meaningful tomorrow.